be intimidating kind of a figure to some folks. But right here in Harford County, former Baltimore County, a lot of this region was, we had people, many of them, and some of us are related to them and some not, who went off to fight a very, very tough battle. Now, when King George and his great army and the greatest navy in the world were lording over the people here before we became the United States of America, some tough decisions had to be made. People had to make decisions about would they risk everything they had for freedom? Would they fight against insurmountable odds? The Maryland line went to a war, and they went down Camden, South Carolina, and fought in the Battle of Camden against the British. There was a 21-year-old farm boy who went with that group. The Maryland line and the Patriots had a very bad day in the Battle of Camden in South Carolina. They lost the battle. The general was killed, died not far from the battlefield. This one farm boy, 21 years old, was captured and put in a prison in Charleston, South Carolina. They had prison ships back then. Terrible places to be. Somehow, he made it back home to Maryland, and not far from here. Federal records are in conflict on it. Some say he escaped, and some say he was exchanged. But no matter how he got out and came back home, one thing is clear. He was the shell and the ghost of the man that had left. That was clearly the case. He was sick, he was starving, and he asked his mother to nurse him back to health, not to go back to the farm, but to go back and rejoin the troops and finish the war with General Washington, which he did. Now, what could have possessed anybody, first of all, to go on a mule or a horse or on feet to South Carolina from here just to tangle with the British, and then to get in prison, come back and say, I want more of that. Give me some more of that. What is liberty? Exactly. Liberty and freedom, the yearning in their hearts to know that the threat was huge, that slavery and involuntary servitude were not an option. Not an option. Ronald Reagan, to paraphrase him, once said that freedom is not genetic. It doesn't pass down through the bloodstream. Isn't that terrible? We could just have a few babies and guarantee the next generation will secure freedom. No, freedom has to be understood and it has to be fought for. But that having been said, one lesson I learned as a child was that 21-year-old man who went down there and asked for more and finished the war with Washington, he was my great-great-great-grandfather, Joshua Rutledge, Lieutenant Joshua Rutledge. He was buried in a humble grave on a hill on Nelson Mill Road, right here in Harford County. Now, an unsung hero like so many others went off, and what did they do when they finished that war? What did those officers do? Did they seize power for themselves? Did they make themselves a special aristocracy to lord over other people? They did not. They did not do that. That really is a miracle. It's a miracle because for the first time in the history of recorded history of mankind, the officers of a winning party in a bloody revolution did not seize power and wealth for themselves. No, what they did is they gathered together those officers in Washington, in Maryland, in 1783 in Annapolis, Maryland, and they signed on to a document which reports for all posterity to say that we fought and bled for those exalted rights and liberties without which being a rational being is a curse rather than a blessing. That's kind of a cumbersome way, perhaps in today's language, to basically say this. There are a lot more important things than making yourself rich. There's an important thing of serving your neighbors, your friends, and your family so we can all be free. And that's more important than anything. Anything at all. Constitution that says in it, there shall be no titles of nobility, no titles of nobility, no special groups of people. So I'm suggesting that right now, across Maryland, that we pull together, across party lines, Republicans, Independents, Democrats, and say, you know what, we've had enough of this special group of people in Washington, D.C. that wants to do nothing but sit there and receive some year after year after year annuity of guaranteed safe seats. No. And then to live off of us and not even apply the laws they pass to themselves.
Right,
Yes.
yeah, right.
Sit above us like some superstructure and tell those of us who have been out here trying to work and do the right thing, pay taxes and create jobs, they want to tell us this. You stay home, you're not qualified because you haven't been to Washington, you haven't served in these seats, you haven't done all these things. No. No, sir, no, ma'am. We need citizen legislators in Washington, D.C. right now, worse than we've ever needed it in America, and that's why I want to go to Washington.